that was the case. But Rome found this kind of edge to find power in of itself, that it was endowed with imperial power to make decisions that would basically do whatever it wanted.
Overwhelmed by power.
Overwhelmed by power is essentially what it comes down to. But
doesn't that seem a little similar to what's going on?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, look, man.
That's humans.
Politics, right?
Yeah.
So, and the thing is that's what it comes down to. Also, it's the paradigm in which they look at their claims. So they substantiate it based on a Bible verse, which was Jesus gave the keys to Peter to bind and loose the sins of men. And basically they say, well, that's Peter was the apostle who died in Rome. So Rome takes primacy because Jesus gave the keys to Peter. Jesus also implied this in Matthew to all of the rest of the bishops who were the other apostles. He said, you all have the power to bind and loose. They're all similar. They're all types of Peter. Those apostles were the bishops of the church they instantiated. So there's one in Egypt, one in Antioch, one in Jerusalem, one in Rome. And they were not just there to evangelize, they were instantiated as the bishops. And then basically they were there to, administer and basically establish the church. But they did not ever look at Rome as the imperial proponent of their whole schematics. It was not that case. And Rome said, well, you are, because Peter died here, and it says this in the Bible, and because, the Apostle Paul also, was implied here. And it's like, they took it to a paradigm that implied imperialism. The church didn't, all that to say. We continued on beyond that point. The Catholics, as if you do the research, the history of the first crusades, of all the crusades, you see kind of what was at the helm of their doctrine and how it changed. And you can parallel that to Orthodoxy. There is no similarity to their concept of crusading, of holy wars. We don't have that system of belief. It's fundamentally altered since inception. Now, we've had councils to rectify dogma and doctrine. That's not a problem. Things have, helped assimilate that and changed, quote unquote, but it has not changed the fundamental doctrine. But if you look at the Catholics now versus then, you can't even deduce a similarity practically. It's completely altered because they went on this tangent of imperialism that essentially warranted all kinds of new nuances to be implied. And so beyond that point, then there was a monk named Martin Luther who at the time, now what the Pope was involved with was selling indulgences, which is making people pay, the Vatican, people pay to relieve themselves from purgatory. Mm-hmm. And Martin Luther, who was a Catholic monk, he said, no, we were done with this. And he posted his thesis on the walls of the Catholic Church. But the thing is that was an implication. He made it clear that he wanted not to change Catholicism. He just wanted to prevent this from happening. Well, the problem is it was a revolution in of itself that went so far as to change the doctrine of the church itself. And basically what happened is you then Protestantism was birthed. And it's all of its own nuanced implications, implying that they did not want to appeal to imperial power anymore. And that fundamentally gave birth to Protestantism and designed it, the archetype that it is. So they have a mindset. They have a specific mindset. Catholics have a specific mindset. Orthodox, we have a specific mindset. Yes.
Yeah. See, like I grew up in the same pretty much household. Like the church that we were attending was Protestant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had no idea about this.
Yeah. See.
And I don't know. It's just when you're young, it's hard to. I don't know. It's hard to have this kind of belief. But when you go through life's experiences and you see the kind of evil and the kind of suffering there is on this planet, you can believe the contrary. For sure. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And to me, like, if you think that we're just here, like nihilism, the concept of nihilism, okay? Like we're just, nothing matters. That we're just on this, floating rock in infinite nothingness. We're just like a speck of dust on this floating rock, okay? But to a certain degree, we're a part of something bigger. I think that, like, let's say, like in Hinduism, like the Rig Veda, it sees life as cyclical, right? So, like everything happens again and again and again. But well, in other religions, they can compare this kind of to reincarnation. But do you believe in reincarnation, or do you think that the afterlife is a kind of that is your other life? Like, I don't know how to explain this. Like the afterlife for you. What does it entitle?
Yeah, so we believe we don't believe in reincarnation. We
Okay.
believe that essentially we're here for a time, and then when we pass, we go to heaven with God or hell, depending on who we are in this life.
Yep.
And basically, that is the fundamental, basic outline of what we believe. The nuance that entails, the journey to heaven, the journey to hell, the second coming, when we will be judged for what we've done, are all also implied in that. But fundamentally, we're with the if we lived a proper life.
What is the second coming again?
Well, basically, we believe that Jesus is going to come back to judge the earth, because we're going to get to a point in time where it's going to be.
Well, we need him soon.
Yeah.
We need him soon.
We do. We need some enlightenment, for sure, I'd say. But no, we believe that, well, as a series of events go in Revelation, which is a book in the Bible, it's the final book of the Bible, implies is what to come in the end of times. And that is fundamentally what we're kind of basing the future on, in a sense, when we look at geopolitics, like we mentioned before, what exactly... how it coheres to Revelation, and how close we are to that moment. Nevertheless, there's still nuance in that. But at the end of the world, it's going to get it's going to get pretty bad. People are going to discard truth. People are going to become very savage-minded. They're going to alienate God. There's going to be a huge departure from the faith, essentially, is what it says. And then Jesus is going to interject and come back, and is going to render justice unto the good and to the not. And basically, he's going to judge all of us based on our deeds. And that's going to be a real judgment. And it's going to determine our days in paradise or not so.